created to have some fun together, sharing and singing. So, join and enjoy.
Our love for opera brings us together. Thanks for being with us in this trip.
Hello, everybody. I'm not sure if I should be saying welcome back or welcome again. This is another series of this small, I could still say small project that we have been calling, at least for this electronic media transmission, that we call Wheel of Singing. Wheel of Singing, in fact, is part of another project. It's one of the, let's say, the electronic component, the electronic piece of a couple of things that I've been doing, provided that I love singing a lot, and I've been doing a couple of things. So this is the electronic piece of it. You may remember, if you have followed us throughout for almost a year already, that the previous series was along with Katia. I'm not sure if she will be able to join us for sometimes here and there. She's always pretty busy, so hopefully she will be coming back for one or two episodes. Don't want to promise anything. I don't want to create expectations on that, but if that could be the case, that she would be back at some point, at some episode, of course you will hear back from her. Okay, but now getting to the point. This series will be around sharing some thoughts, comments on the libretto, on the score, on the difficulty for the singers, sometimes historical interesting data that people may be happy to hear about. And it will be one episode for each of the operas that I am planning to share with you throughout the next weeks. How long each episode will last is still uncertain, provided that sometimes it will be nicer to be sharing with you some parts of the music, sometimes it will be thoughts or experiences or anything else. So I'm not pretty sure so how much this is going to be in terms of length, in terms of time, each of the episodes. Truth is, I really don't know. And also, you may be aware that because everybody on the internet is trying to catch people using music or anything from other creators in order to charge you for a copyright, sometimes or most of the times non-existent rights from the people who put those claims on the copyrights. But since I don't want to be running any risk on that, I'm afraid we will not have any music. Even though there is a good number of great recordings for each of the operas, I think I will just have to tell you, and if you wish, you may look for those in the internet, for those versions that I will be talking about. Again, insisting that I will not be risking to put some of that music in the background and then will be penalized for copyright, because I don't have the time to be coming back and forth with some people I don't know just to demonstrate that they don't have the rights to what they claim they have to. Okay, enough talk. Already over 3 minutes talking, and I haven't told you. Well, if you saw the title of this program, you already know that today we are opening the series with one of the most interesting operas. I will not say famous, because if you want to talk about famous or well-known operas, you need to talk about La Traviata, La Bohème, Madame Butterfly, Lucia de Lammermoor, maybe Norma, Aida, of course, Rigoletto. And that is not the case for Cavalleria Rusticana. If you have followed us in the past, Katia and I have already shared with you what is it about when we talk or when we speak of Verismo. The Cavalleria Rusticana by Pietro Mascagni is one of the operas that is part of this Verismo, opposed to Belcantismo and other Baroque and other styles within the opera world. And that I am mentioning that because one of the first things that I would like to share with you is that when you talk about Verismo, you are talking about not necessarily nice voices, because a nice voice may not be suited for this singing In the verismo, there is too much shouts, too much sometimes yelling, breaking the voice, and doing something, and that is not necessarily nice. And that is why in one side, not beautiful voices or not always beautiful voices sing this repertory, but also because this can damage the singer's voice for the rest of the time they keep themselves active as singers. So if somebody damages his voice by singing verismo, you may start seeing how they retreat from harder roles and go for lighter, because once you damage your voice, I wouldn't say it's over, but you are definitely heading to this being over. And with that being said, I was telling you, don't expect nice voices singing verismo. What you usually expect is strong voices, strong, powerful in the middle of the chest, what is usually called the chest notes in the middle voice, usually stronger. And that's what one can see when you hear about verismo. And now, again, let's go back to Cavalleria Rusticana. It is. You may also be aware that Cavalleria is usually played along or on the same day, same night as Pagliacci, as if Cavalleria would be one act and Pagliacci would be the second. You know that the typical length of an opera is somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. And Cavalleria Rusticana is pretty short, usually around 75-80 minutes length, so just consider the applause and all of that, but the running music somewhere around 75 minutes, which is very short. That would basically be the act, even shorter than the first act of Il Barbiere di Siviglia. So that's why the opera houses usually put those two together on the same day. And going back to this very much loved opera, Cavalleria Rusticana, you may have heard or you may be familiar with the opening. You know the Obertura, how it actually opens is with a very lovely orchestral music written by Pietro Mascagni, and then you have something very atypical, very atypical in the opera world, which is somebody or a singer, most specific, the tenor singing in the middle of the overture of the opening music number. This number is usually called La Siciliana or O Lola Kai Dilati la Camisa. The singer himself, which we don't see on stage, because I was telling you, he usually sings it in the back of the stage, so only you hear his voice. The male character is called Turidu. So Turidu is a tenor, a male voice, and sings this very beautiful melody. So it is very interesting when you're watching the opera. You can go now and watch it on YouTube or Vimeo or any other platform, and you will find that in the middle of the music there is a slight change in the melody, and then goes the voice of the tenor singing to Lola. Oh Lola, che hai dei lati la camisa. And after, well, you don't hear it that loud because I was telling you he's basically the back of the stage. So picture that you're listening to a voice saying, Oh Lola, che hai di lati la camisa, si bianca e rosa como la cirassa, quando facci fai la carissa, and so on. But what I wanted to call your attention to is not only that this Olola is very beautiful, but all about to point you or to tell you that this voice is in fact telling us what the whole drama will be about. Turidu is singing, and even though he hasn't presented on the stage, we know that the male voice singing is singing to a Lola. Who is Lola? The woman he's in love with. So, in this lovely melody, he's picturing us this very beautiful woman that he's in love with. And I was telling you this is going to be the beginning of the tragedy because I don't want to spoil it this soon, but once you know what is coming, you will notice why these lovely words, "E si demore vado in paradiso," because he says that "E si dimoro e vado in paradiso, si non ce trovo a ti a manco ce trasso." Because I would rather, even if I die, I will always blindly love you. Because even in paradise, I will surely find you. And then, with a voice that moves away and away and away, there are no more words, but just the melody of the tenor singing. And if you ever have the chance of watching or checking it on the score, that last note says perdendosi, allontanandosi first, which means he's going away, and then perdendosi, so that may feel like the voice is appearing within the notes of the orchestra that I insist is just opening with just music. And then after that, then he stops singing and the orchestra keeps playing. By the moment it stops, we can see the second character that will be of our interest on the stage. That is Santuzza. Santuzza is usually sung by a soprano, but let me make a comment there. This role is usually heavy, close to impossible for a lyrical soprano. So it is usually played by dramatic sopranos or mezzos with nice high notes, because this role requires too many chest notes, and too many low notes that many sopranos are not able to sing properly, because the role for Santuzza is very heavy for the female voices. So that would be the reason why you only hear powerful female voices singing Santuzza. So Santuzza is on a stage talking to the character called Mama Lucia. Mother Lucia would be sort of a translation, but it doesn't mean that Lucia is the mother of Santuzza. That's the way she's called, Mama Lucia, because she's a mother. In fact, she's the mother of Turidu. Before I tell you what the relationship between Turidu and Santuzza is, they are having a conversation, Mama Lucia and Santuzza, when the third character jumps on stage that is called Alfio. Alfio is a baritone. He, in a very operatic way of doing things, because operas are usually like that. The introduction of a character, they usually go on stage so that you get to know them. And it is Comparo Alfio introducing himself, and he sings a song to a horse. Il cavallo palpita, tan 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 tan. And we're not going to pay too much attention to that melody, because it really doesn't have anything in the content of the words that guides us to what is going to be happening next. It's just a way to introducing Comparo Alfio, so that we get to know him. But by the time he ends his aria, his tan 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 tan. After that, there is this comment about Turidu. I told you that Turidu is the tenor, and Turidu happens to be the couple, the partner, the husband of Santuzza. So they say that Alfio asks where Turidu is. Mama Lucia says that he's out of the village because he went to get some wine. But Alfio says, no, that is not true. I just saw him earlier today, very close to my home. And they say, no, you must be mistaken. He left the town to get some wine. And then the conversation is interrupted. Compar Alfio leaves, and Santuzza has told Mama Lucia to keep that quiet. That we are going to explain it in a little later. At this point, I must tell you that this opera happens in the days of Pascua, Easter in English, that's how it's called, but it is Pascua for people who know what Pascua is. So those holy or saint days for people who follow that religion. And those are the days that this opera is happening. So there is a small number of the choir, the presentation of these religious representations that happens usually on those days. And after when the choir leaves and that number wraps up, Santuzza is left with Mama Lucia, and Mama Lucia asks, perché mi hai fatto segno di tacere? Why did you ask me to keep it silence? Why do you want me to shut up on that? And Santuzza starts by saying, and here's where Santuzza introduces herself, and in the words of Santuzza, we will learn about what the tragedy is going to be about. Santuzza starts her aria, usually called Voi lo sapete, O Mama, and you know that, Mother. Remember that Mama Lucia is the way we called this old woman, the mother of Turidu, Mama Lucia. So she's talking to her and says, Voi lo sapete, o mamma, prima d'andar soldato, Turidu aveva Lola eterna fe giurato. Which means, you know that, mother, before Turidu left to become a soldier, he has promised Lola to love her forever. So Santuzza knows, even though she's now married to Turidu, she knows that Turidu had promised Lola to love her forever. And remember that at the opening, that is what Turidu is actually singing. Oh Lola, che hai di lati la camisa. So we are going back to that. Turidu is in love with Lola, was in love with Lola, continues to be involved with Lola. He was seen earlier today close to the house of Lola, even though he was supposed to be out of town. And Santuzza knows it. This breaks her heart because when she says, Voi lo sapete, o mamma, prima ne andar soldato, Turidu aveva Lola eterna fe giurato. Aveva Lola eterna fe giurato. And having promised that love, tornò la seppe sposa e con un nuovo amore volé spegnar la fiamma che gli bruciava il cuore. Ma mo l'amai, l'amai. He came back. He learned she was already married, and so she wanted to replace that feverish love for Lola with somebody else. Of course, she's speaking of Santuzza herself. So when Turidu learned that Lola had married already, she wanted to replace that love with Santuzza's. But when she says, Mamo, lamai, and then with a shout of passione, oh, lamai. That's what I was telling you earlier, that these voices in the repertory of Verismo go easily to high notes, but like yelling, because when she says lamai, it is not, oh, lamai. It has to be, more like touching your own soul. It is breaking your heart that you know that Turidu still loves her. She goes on and says, Quella in vida d'ogni delizia mia del suo sposo dimentica. And then she with envious of my own happiness. Lola has been married, so now that she learns that Turidu is marrying Santuzza, now she's jealous. And Lola forgets that she's married to another man. And as she's arse di gelosia, me la rapito. As Lola couldn't control that jealousy, she decides to steal Turidu from Santuzza. Me la rapito, priva del honor mio rimango. Lole Turidu samano, io piango. So, me, Santuzza, I have been deprived from my own honor because Lole Turidu love each other. Lole Turidu love each other, and I cry, and I cry, and I cry. So, when she says, I was telling you that also the female voice had challenges not only in the high notes, petto notes, central notes, and low notes, because when she says, io piango, keep in mind that the orchestra in the verismo is very heavy, too much volume on the orchestra. So if the soprano, or in most of the cases the mezzo, doesn't have a powerful voice, most likely people will not hear Santuzza in that io piango. So with the heart broken, there comes the opportunity, let's say, because right after having shared this with Mama Lucia, Turidu enters the stage. So now we know Turidu, the guy who was singing to Lola at the very beginning, now married to Santuzza, and says, "Tu qui Santuzza," which means, "What are you doing here, Santuzza?" To which she replies, "Qui t'aspettavo," which means, "I was waiting for you." E Pasqua in chiesa non vai, but it is Easter. It is Pasqua. Why are you not in church? And Santuzza replies, "Non volevo parlarti." I need to talk to you, but Turidu replies, "Mama cercavo." I am looking for my mother. And Santuzza replies, "Devo parlarti." Still, I want to talk to you. And Turidu insists, "Qui no," which means not here. I am not talking to you. And Santuzza asks, "Dove sei stato?" Where have you been? To which Turidu replies, "Che vuol tu dire? A Francofonte, Santuzza, credimi." What are you, Turidu says, what are you talking about? Where was I? I was in Francofonte. Remember that the story is that Turidu was supposed to be out of town, so he was at Francofonte. And Santuzza says, "No, non è ver," more yelling, con forza, "No, non è ver." To which Turidu replies, "Santuzza credimi, Santuzza credimi, Santuzza believe me, Santuzza believe me, I was in Francofonte." But Santuzza, very upset, says, "No, non mentire, ti vide volgere giù dal sentier, e stamattina all'alba da una scorta presso l'uscio di Lola," which means, this same morning, at the very first times of the morning, you were seen close to the house of Lola. To which Turidu replies, "Ah, mi hai spiato. You were spying on me." And Santuzza says, "No, te lo giuro, a noi l'ha raccontato compar Alfio il marito poco fa." Which means, "No, I swear, it is Alfio." You remember the guy who introduced himself with the melody of the horse. Il cavallo scalpita, tan tararan, tan tan. He's the one who had told Mama Lucia and Santuzza that he had seen Turidu early in the morning. But Alfio turns out to be the husband of Lola himself. So Lola and Alfio are married, and Alfio, not aware that Turidu is still in love with Lola, is the one who told them that he was not in Francofonte. So Turidu, being cut up, says, così ricambi l'amor che ti porto, vuoi che n'uccida? So in this way are you paying me for the love that I have for you, Santuzza? You want me to be killed, to get killed? Oh, questo non lo dire, says Santuzza. No, don't say that. Lasciami dunque, replies Turidu. Then leave me. In van tenti sospiro il giusto segno con la tua pietà. And says Santuzza, tu l'ami dunque, then you love her, assai più bella è Lola. You say so. I know that Lola is still very beautiful. Taci, non l'amo, says Turidu. Shut up, I don't love her. But Santuzza insists, tu l'ami, oh maledetto. So says, but you love her. Oh, and then the malediciones when she says maledetta, and Turidu maledetto, and Turidu replies Santuzza, yelling to her, because of course he doesn't agree with what Santuzza said, that he is still in love with Lola, and then Santuzza replies, quella cattiva femmina ti tolse a me. That woman still keeps you captivated. And Turidu says, vada Santuzza, schiavo non sono di questa vana tua gelosia. This melody is very well known, because after this, what we could say, it is the introductory part. We go back to what is more sung at this part, as you may have already noticed. Most that singing, it's more like a confrontation. And now that Turidu goes for this well-known melody. Vada Santuzza, schiavo non sono di questa vana tua gelosia. So I will not be a prisoner of your jealousy, Santuzza. And Santuzza, these two melodies will be mixing throughout the whole duet. When he says, battimi, insultami, t'amo e perdono, ma è troppo forte l'angoscia mia, è troppo forte l'angoscia mia. So, hurt me, insultami, but I love you and I forgive you, because it is so very strong, this anguish that I feel for this situation. Then the tenor goes back to Vada Santuzza, schiavo non sono di questa vana tua gelosia. And then Santuzza repeats the same phrase. Vatemi, insultami, t'amo e perdono, ma è troppo forte l'angoscia mia. And then it is, as Santuzza is singing, Turidu is responding, Vada Santuzza, schiavo non sono. So this is how the two voices are mixing together. And suddenly there is an interruption, because this very famous Lola is there singing what is called the Stornello di Lola. Lola is usually sung by a mezzo. Personally, I think that a nice voice will do, even though it is verismo, and I have told you that nice voices are not usually here, but Lola is not singing anything heavy, so this is Tornello, by a very nice musical, educated voice. Is very nicely sung. It goes like, Fior di giaciolo, gli angeli belli stanno a mille in cielo. And it is very provocative when Lola enters the stage, because when she's singing this Fior di giaciolo, she looks at Turidu, like flirting, like nobody knows our secret. You and I have something to do together. there is a very small or short confrontation between Lola and Santuzza because, well, they know each other. Lola knows that Turiddu is with her, even though he's married to Santuzza, and Santuzza knows it already, as I just described previously. So there is this very unfortunate confrontation between the two women. Then she leaves and says, well, I leave you here. And Turiddu says, yeah, I am leaving too. So by saying, andiamo, qui non abbiamo che fare. So let's go, let's leave this place, pointing to Lola. But Santuzza says, resta. Lola also said, rimanete. And Santuzza says, sì, resta. Devo parlarti ancora. I still need to talk to you. So don't you think you're going to just run away? We still need to talk. So Lola leaves the stage with that lovely melody. I was telling you, her stornello says ta-da-da-da-da, but that is only the orchestra playing in the background. Turiddu now, Santuzza himself alone, now alone on the stage, very upset. He says, lo vedi che hai tu detto. Santuzza says, l'hai voluto, e ben ti sta. Per Dio. And Santuzza says, squarcimi il petto. Turiddu says, no. To which Santuzza replies, Turiddu, ascolta. Turiddu, very, very upset, says, ba, leave, go. And in a very unfortunate situation for Santuzza, starts begging, sometimes on stage even throwing herself, begging on the floor to Turiddu, and says, Turiddu, ascolta, no, Turiddu, rimani ancora, abbandonarmi, dunque tu vuoi per... no, Turiddu, stay here, don't you dare to leave me, please. And Turiddu says, perché seguirmi, perché spiarmi, sul limitare fin della chiesa. Stop following me, stop begging you. It is very offensive when you think how Turiddu is actually treating Santuzza and how she's begging for the attention of Turiddu. And this melody keeps going for a while. No, Turiddu, rimani ancora. No, Turiddu, rimani ancora. And it keeps going. Turiddu, rimani ancora. La tua Santuzza piange, ti implora. Your Santuzza is crying and begging you. Please, you cannot leave me like that here. Please do it for your Santuzza. But Turiddu, very upset, insists, va, ti ripeto, va, non tediarmi, pentirsi è vano dopo l'offesa. You have already offended me. What are you doing, Santuzza? Leave, go out of here. And still Santuzza begging, oh, Turiddu. And Turiddu responding, non tediarmi, no, Turiddu, ba, Turiddu. I was telling you this is very offensive when you see it on stage. They join their voices. He's saying va, she's saying no, va, she's still saying no, va, and she's not willing to leave. La tua Santuzza piange, ti implora, come cacciarla poi. He says still, but still, to regret after what you have done. I don't want to learn anything from you. This is a very heavy duet. If you're a singer yourself, or have you seen it? on a stage, on a representation. You might know that this is a very heavy duet. That's why I was telling you you need very powerful voices for this opera. And they wrap up the duet after going for a couple of sections where their two voices are mixing together with dopo la festa, pentersievano, dopo la festa. And then comes something very interesting, because now very upset, Santuzza shouts, Vada! More yelling than song. Vada! And with disprezzo, replying to Santuzza, says, Delira tua, non mi curo. In full disprezzo, you know, like, I really don't care about you, Santuzza. Get out of here. Santuzza, still on the floor, shouts, A te la mala Pasqua, spergiuro. In this sort of maledizione, she has wished, in that very angerness, she has shouted him, A te la mala Pasqua, spergiuro, wishing Turiddu all the worst for those days of Pasqua, Easter. Being left, Turiddu leaves, being left on stage with a very powerful music. The orchestra wraps up this duet with a very powerful volume, a very strong melody, and then Teresor comes back Comparalfio. If you remember, Comparalfio is the husband of Lola, then what with Il cavallo scalpita. And Lola, still very upset of what just happened, says, Oh, il Signore vi manda, Comparalfio. A che punto è la messa? Asks Alfio. Because Santuzza says, Oh, God sent you, Comparalfio. Alfio asks, at what point is the, you know that there is at the church, there is some a religious event, so a che ora è la messa, a che punto è la messa? È tardi ormai, ma per voi Lola è andata con Turiddu, che avete detto che mentre correte all'acqua e al vento a guadagnarvi il pane, Lola t'adorna il tetto in malo modo. With these words, Lola has told Comparalfio that Lola is being unloyal, unfaithful to him, and she's actually doing with Turiddu, the husband of Santuzza herself. To this, Comparalfio replies, nel nome di Dio, Santa, che dite? What are you saying, Santa? Santuzza. What are you saying? Santuzza replies, il ver, which means the truth. I am telling the truth. Turiddu mi tolse l'onore. Turiddu mi tolse l'onore, vostra moglie. Lui rapiva me. Turiddu mi tolse l'onore. Turiddu is now faithful to me, and he's being that with your wife Lola. To which Alfio replies, Se voi mentite, vos chiantarvi il core. I am going to rip your heart from your chest if you're lying, Santuzza. To which Santuzza replies, I am not used to lying. My mouth, my lips don't lie. Per la vergogna mia, pel mio dolore, la trista verità vi disse, ahimè, per la vergogna mia, pel mio dolore, Turiddu mi tolse l'onore, vostra moglie, lui rapiva me. I am being humiliated. I am telling you this. My husband is with your wife, and this is taking all the honor that I could have in myself. Alfio replies, Comare Santa, allor grato vi sono. Comare Santa, Santuzza, I thank you. I appreciate what you just did. But Santuzza replies, infame io son che vi parlai così. I am being infamous by telling you this. By having told you the truth, I know I am doing the right thing. But Alfio replies, adesso non perdono, vendetta avrò, which means I will have my revenge. I will revenge on those two because I will not forgive them. And so this is how the duet between the Santuzza and Alfio wraps up. On one hand, he's singing, adesso non perdono, adesso non perdono. And Santuzza says, infamia son, vendetta bro, infamia son. And that way, by rapping this duet, very interesting rapping because there are not many duets with this power. Alfio says, vendetta bro. And you remember that Santuzza was singing infamia son. So Santuzza saying, I am infamous for having told you this. And Alfio saying, I will have my own revenge. That's how, again, with a very powerful notes by the orchestra, wraps up this duet. Everything has been said. The treason of Lola and Turiddu is now well known to Santuzza and Alfio. We're about to hear what the consequences are, but in order to relax a little the drama, there comes the second aria of the tenor. Remember that the first one was O Lola, O Lola, la 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 la, and now we're going to a second aria that is usually called the Brindisi, because now Turiddu is inviting people of the town, his friends, to have a toast. It is also called Viva il vino spumeggiante nel bicchiere scintillante. We will not talk more about the words in this because it really doesn't add to the drama, except for showcasing the skills of the tenor. At this point, maybe I should be telling you that tenors, even though it is a very short opera, are very lucky because there are 3 arias for them. So tenors, if they have the right voice, can usually be very much appreciated in this opera. So that is for the drinking number, the Viva il vino spumeggiante nel bicchiere scintillante come il riso dell'amante mite in fan del giovino. Viva il vino spumeggiante. And after that, right after having finished that number, enters the stage Compare Alfio. Remember that he already knows the truth. And Turiddu offers him some wine, to which Alfio rejects and says, if I drank your wine, that poison would be in my chest. With that expression, with that rejection, Turiddu learns that Alfio already is aware of the relationship between Lola and Turiddu. So what is left is the duel. They agree on the duel, Alfio and Turiddu. Turiddu, in fact, accepts the treason and says, only because if I die, Santuzza would be left alone. That's the only reason why I dare to fight. But I know I am guilty of what you already know. So Turiddu is aware. At the end, he's aware that he has not been doing the right things. But of course, Alfio is, being the cornuto that everybody knows. So now that everybody will know that Lola and Turiddu are together. In Spanish, we say pintando el cuerno. Alfio, of course, promises to kill Turiddu in that duel. So Alfio leaves the stage, and for a second, now that Turiddu is left alone, he goes for the third aria. I just told you that the tenor is very fortunate that there are 3 arias in here, Um, he's left alone and says, Mama, Mama 2 times, Mama, Mama, quel vino è generoso, è certo, oggi troppi bicchieri ho traccanati, vado fuori all'aperto. So right after having said all those words that seems to me make no sense, he says, Mama, maybe I have drunk too much wine today, but now I want to tell you that if I don't come back, se io non tornassi, voi dovrete fare da Madre Santa, che io l'aveva giurato di condurla all'altare, voi dovrete fare da Madre Santa se io non tornassi. Having felt that he's going to die, that Alfio is going to actually kill him, he says, Mama Lucia, addressing to Mama Lucia. Remember that Mama Lucia is in fact the mother of Turiddu. If I don't come back, you have to be a mother to Santuzza, because I had promised to conduirla all'altare, to marry her. So you have to be a mother to Santa in case I don't come back. And Mamma Lucia replies, perché parli così, figliolo mio? But why are you saying those words? And Turiddu says, oh nulla, il vino che mai suggerito il vino, per me pregate Dio, per me pregate un Dio, un bacio, mamma, un altro bacio, un bacio a Dio, se io non tornasse fate da Madre Santa un bacio, mamma, addio. It's just the wine that makes me think of these things, but please pray to God, ask God to forgive me, and please let me give you a last kiss, un altro bacio, another kiss, un altro bacio, another kiss. Goodbye, my mother. If I don't come back, please be a mother to Santa. And that's how he wraps up his third and final aria. Per me pregate Dio, per me pregate Dio, un bacio mamma, un altro bacio, addio. Se io non tornasse, fate da Madre Santa. Right after having said fate da Madre Santa, he leaves the stage, and a few seconds later, one can hear a woman yelling, "Han ammazzato al comparo Turiddu!" Another shout, which I cannot do because I don't have a female voice and I am unable to yell like that, says again, "Han ammazzato al comparo Turiddu!" Which means, comparo Turiddu has just been killed. Turiddu has just been killed. So Mama Lucia hears it, and as Santuzza approaches her, they both embrace as the voices start crying for compare Turiddu having been killed. And maybe with that you can say that Alfio had his revenge accomplished. And so Verismo, that is opposed to other styles in the opera, tells us about or depict people, typical people that you may find on the street. It is said to be based on a true story that was read by the author earlier. And so he said, I'm going to create an opera based on this. Whether it is true or not, you have people, peasants that can be, it is of course in Italy, but it could be anywhere in the world. So here it is playing love, unfaithfulness, treason, revenge, and that's what Verismo is about. All those strong emotions, that very heavy orchestration, and the story that many people can relate to. Who your favorite singers would be for this? Truth it is that personally I like it, or I prefer it with stronger voices, because from my perspective only the strong voices can carry that drama better. You know, no, no, torido, rimani ancora, and all those passages that I tried somehow, if not singing to you, at least trying to give you an idea of what they are about. It is very, one can, when you have the opportunity of seeing it on stage, the impact of watching all this happening in less than an hour and a half is usually, one takes the emotion with ourselves, and I really love Verismo. If you have watched or heard our previous podcasts programs, you know that personally I am very much in love with Verismo, and I hope you loved it too. If you have not had seen it on stage or on YouTube or somewhere, I truly invite you to watch it. Very interesting story, and clearly depicts what our human emotions are. Thank you very much for having joined me for this very first program of the new series, where I am sharing with you some thoughts. This time it was Cavalleria Rusticana by Maestro Pietro Mascagni. Hope you will be joining me in the next programs of this new series. Thank you. Be seeing you soon.